Manchester United apparently close to agreeing a deal with PSG for Manuel Ugarte. Ruud van Nistelrooy is apparently going to be the key in getting Javi Simmons to join the club on loan this summer. Adrien Rabiot deal close, plus all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this afternoon show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6 p.m. UK time. Currently, only 50% of people who watch our videos are subscribed. So if you're one of those who isn't subscribed, make sure you get involved. Apologies, I'm a couple of minutes late. I literally just walked up the stairs. This plant up here was on the floor, soil everywhere. And then I started hoovering it up, and then I knocked over another plant. So it's not been a good 5 minutes for me, but I'm here. We're going to have a great show, and I do apologise for being a few minutes late. But let's get straight on into it. Let's start the show by talking about Adrien Rabiot. Now, I know people are sick to death of Rabiot. Most people in the fan base don't seem to want him, but it is a news show, and I have to bring you all of the stories. So, again, more journalists coming out in the last couple of hours saying that apparently Adrien Rabiot has decided to join Manchester United. Apparently, he had options in Turkey, Galatasaray being one of them. But most places don't want to pay the money he's asking for. He's asking for apparently around £200,000 a week, which for Manchester United isn't that much money when you think about it. Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, they're on 250k a week. Maguire's on 200k a week. Anthony's supposedly on 200k a week. And then you go into the higher bracket and you've got people like Rashford and Casemiro on 350 grand a week. So I don't know what it is with Adrien Rabiot. If this was 2-3 years ago under the Glazers, I would say great, go and sign him, good deal, because I was used to doing bad business. And I think that the more I think about Rabiot at this moment in time, I don't think he's a particularly good signing. He's not someone for the future. He's for the now. He's for the present. He turns 30 next year. He wants massive wages, a massive signing on fee. He supposedly has been difficult at some clubs in the past. I think his agent, his mother, has, said things if he's not been picked and stuff, and has said things to the media. And I just don't think we need that around the club at the moment. I think we have such a positive atmosphere. There's such a good spirit within the fan base and within the squad that bringing in someone like Adrien Rabiot, I just think is a little bit backwards. And I'll be interested to see what you all think as well. Mr. C says Anthony is only on 70k a week. That's wrong. One journalist from ESPN yesterday said that Anthony's on 70k a week. And everyone's completely misread the story. If you look anywhere on the internet, on any finance website, it says that Anthony's on 200k a week, right? The 70k a week story was that apparently Manchester United are asking for a 70 grand a week contribution towards Anthony's wages if they're going to loan him out. So that's where that story came from. Effectively, they know that no club are going to pay Anthony 200 grand a week to take him on loan. So they're saying, either you take him, you pay half of his wages, and we'll kind of go from there. So that's where that the Anthony story came from. Meme account 21 says, would you like to see De Jong at Manchester United? No. We spoke about this on the show this morning. I'm going to do a poll on Rabiot, actually, quickly. Should United sign Rabiot? You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section as well. Should Manchester United sign Adrien Rabiot this summer? But in relation to Frankie de Jong, 2 years ago, great. Would have been very, very happy. He's 27 now. He's been injured for quite large parts of last season. He's on absolutely massive wages, Frankie de Jong. He's on around £600,000 a week at Barcelona. And you wonder why Barcelona are in the mess that they are financially. It's because they've given out these stupid contracts. You've got Lewandowski on about 600k a week as well. And even though Frankie de Jong is apparently available this window for about £40 million, according to reports, I just think that when you add those wages into that, a wage of 600,000 per week. I worked that out this morning and it was about £30 million a season. If you gave him a 5-year contract, that's £150 million in wages across a 5-year deal. Plus then you add the transfer fee of 40 million. You're pretty much getting close to 200 grand a week there. 200 million for Frankie de Jong across a 5-year deal. And I just think that's ridiculous. So yeah, in relation to that question, I would not sign Frankie de Jong. But circling back to Adrien Rabiot, apparently he's rejected a move to other clubs. There has been a genuine interest. He supposedly only wants to play in the Premier League. Fabrizio said that Liverpool aren't working on a deal. There was some stories yesterday saying that apparently Liverpool were going to sign him, but Fabrizio's confirmed that Liverpool aren't in the race for Adrian Rabiot. And it looks like at the moment Manchester United are the front runners to get this deal done. Now, my stance on Rabiot is very, very simple, okay? If we were to sell someone like Christian Eriksen for a small amount of money, £5-10 million, that's probably his market value, then I wouldn't have a massive issue with Rabiot being his replacement as a bench warmer. But why would Rabiot come to Manchester United to be a bench warmer? He's going to want to come and start every single game. And if he doesn't, his mother, who's his agent, will be briefing the media, saying Erik ten Hag doesn't know what he's doing. She's literally done that in the past. She's come out in public and criticised the managers if they don't pick her son. And we just don't need that toxicity around Manchester United. We don't. Should Rabiot be a starter in our midfield? No, definitely not. I would even probably argue, and this is probably going to upset a few people, I would probably even argue that Casemiro is more what we need in our midfield than Rabiot is. Because Rabiot isn't a CDM. And we need a CDM absolutely desperately, don't we? So, yeah, I would probably steer clear of Rabiot. Unless it's a desperate signing at the end of the window. You know, maybe McTominay goes, maybe Hannibal goes, maybe Eriksen goes, and Man United say, we need some more squad depth. If you're happy to come in and be a squad player, you can join. Otherwise, I think it's a no from me. But obviously, you can let me know in the comment section, should Manchester United go in for Adrian Rabiot? It does look like we're going to go in for him, though, whether we like that or not as a fan base. So it'll be interesting to see how this materialises. Yeah, but for me, it's a no. Let's see what people are saying in the poll. So far, 70% of people who are watching this channel have said they wouldn't sign Adrian Rabiot this summer. And 30% of you said you would. So that's interesting. And just a quick one. If everyone who's just joined the video could do me a favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for today's video. And we are only 2 subscribers away from 31,500. So let's make sure we hit that by the end of today's video. We're on the road to 50k. We hit 30k a couple of days ago, and we will be doing some more giveaways when we reach 50k. I'm going to do a big one for 50k. So if you are new today, make sure you get involved. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30, and 6. So yeah, get involved. Okay, let's move on from Adrian Rabiot though, because I think people are sick to death of hearing his name. And let's talk about Javi Simmons. Again, another player who has the fan base divided. Some people love Javi Simmons. Some people think he's average. I personally think he's good. I think, from what I've seen of him anyway, what I saw of him at PSV when Ruud van Nistelrooy was the manager, their leading goal scorer at that point, I think he's a quality player. I think in the Euros he was quality. And I personally would really, really like to see Javi Simmons at Manchester United. I just think that the relationship that Javi Simmons and Ruud van Nistelrooy had when he was at PSV was amazing. And he was playing his best football under Ruud van Nistelrooy. Ruud van Nistelrooy is the assistant manager and Javi Simmons is available. So if anybody's going to make Javi Simmons a world-class player, it's Ruud van Nistelrooy. And the story this afternoon is that apparently, despite Bayern Munich being the favourites to sign Javi Simmons, Manchester United have a genuine shot at landing Javi Simmons. It says there is work to do at the moment and Bayern feel confident, but apparently Ruud van Nistelrooy has spoken to Javi Simmons and believes he can convince him to come to Manchester United. I think he'd be a quality signing. Let's break this down, right? We expect Pellistri to go. That's going to happen. So that's one player gone in that position. We expect, or Greenwood has gone. I was going to say we expect Greenwood to go. So Greenwood's gone. Pellistri's going to go. And Donny van der Beek's going to go, who has played in attacking midfield. So you've got rid of 3 players who all operate in and around Javi Simmons' preferred position. Javi Simmons can play as a central attacking midfielder, a left winger or a right winger. So Greenwood gone, Donny van der Beek gone, Pellistri I think will be gone, and Sancho could even be gone as well. And maybe even Antony on loan. So if the fan base get their way, by the end of this transfer window, 5 players who operate in Javi Simmons' positions will probably be gone, won't they? Because I think most of you would want Antony to go. Most people want Sancho to go if a big bid comes in for him. Obviously, Greenwood's gone, Pellistri's gone, and yeah, that's 5 people, and obviously Donny's gone. So I can see why Manchester United are looking at him, and I can see this as an opportunity. They're looking at this from a perspective where there's a player here who, in my opinion, is going to be world class in the next couple of years. He's already proven that he's a very, very good, talented player. He doesn't want to play for PSG. I don't know why. I don't know what the backstory is there. He's effectively refused to play for PSG. He was on loan at Red Bull Leipzig last season and said he won't play for PSG this season. So I don't know the politics that is going on between Javi Simmons and PSG, because it is very strange. You know, they bought him from PSV and he's just like, I'm not going to play for you. I don't want to play for you. So I don't understand that. But obviously Man United can benefit from this. We are deep in negotiations with Manuel Ugarte, who we'll speak about in a minute. But as part of those negotiations, it puts us in a better position to get Javi Simmons. So I personally think that if we can get this deal done, if Ruud van Nistelrooy can work some magic, I really, really think that we should get that one over the line. But it'd be interesting to see what you will think. Would you like to see Javi Simmons at Manchester United? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm going to set up a poll for all of those of you who are watching the video live. If you're not watching the video live, make sure you join us next time. We're either 8:30, 1:30 and 6. Let me set up a little poll for you. So the question's going to be simple. Should United sign Simmons? The poll is set up. So everyone make sure you go and get involved in that. The results of the last poll, 63% of people who are watching the video today have said no to Adrien Rabiot, and 37% of you have said yes. So yeah, it's not very divided on Adrien Rabiot. Most people in the fan base seem to not want Adrien Rabiot here, which I do kind of agree with. You know, I agree with you all. I'm in that same camp as you in the 63%. Unless we get desperate at the end of the window, then maybe you go and get Rabiot as an emergency signing. But I just don't think that Ineos will let themselves get into a position where they have to make emergency signings. So, yeah, but we'll wait and see what happens with that one. Keeping on the topic of Javi Simmons, the other thing as well, which I really, really like about him, and I think which makes it a no-brainer for me, is his wages. And I know some people don't care about this. Some people just care about football. They're not interested in the financial side of it. But the finances are such an important part of football now. And I know most people hate that. The wages are disgusting. The transfer fees are disgusting. I get all of that. But in the case of Javi Simmons, he's currently only earning about 30,000 euros a week at PSG. So if we were to take it on loan, you'd only have to match his wages. 30,000 euros is what? £25,000 a week? Honestly, it's nothing. I know to me or you that's a lot of money, but Brandon Williams, who I don't think played a game of football for United for maybe 2 or 3 years, was earning 60, 70 grand a week at Manchester United. Obviously, he's gone now. He's been released as a free agent. But the point I'm trying to make here is, if you compare Javi Simmons' wages with the rest of the wages in the squad, because I think that's important. You need to know how much this loan deal is going to be worth. If he was on 500,000 a week, you would say that's stupid. Don't do that. But to give you a bit of comparison, right? Bayinder's on 35 grand a week. So Bayinder would earn more than Javi Simmons. Amad Diallo's on 30 grand a week. He would earn more. Garnacho's on 60. Johnny Evans is on 60. Malasia's on 75. Like, he would be earning less than half of what Malasia's earning, less than half of what Johnny Evans is earning. And I think for a player of his quality, someone who can get goals, get assists, for that amount of money, I think it's an absolute bargain. I do. There is apparently, though, PSG are asking for an obligation to buy. That might be where the deal gets a little bit more complicated, because obviously he's going to have to be on big... it's going to cost Manchester United a lot of money if you want to buy him permanently. 50 to 70 million is apparently PSG's valuation, which I personally think is fair. I think he's definitely a £50 million player, Javi Simmons, but it's just whether Manchester United want to budget 50 million for Javi Simmons, and do they see it as a priority? That's the question. Obviously, if Sancho goes, Pellistri goes, Antony goes, then great, go and sign him. But I do think that if those players leave, the Manchester United fan base will have other ideas of who they want to come in as a new winger. You know, I don't think Javi Simmons is the top of the kind of the target list for a lot of United fans. It'd be interesting to know what you think, though. Like, say we sell Jadon Sancho, Pellistri, say Antony goes as well. Like, who would you want to sign as the new right winger? What would you do? I mean, some people would say give Ahmed a try, Amad Diallo. And I personally would love to see Ahmed have some game time. But in reality, is Amad Diallo ready to start every single week for Man United? Maybe he is. It's impossible to say until you throw Ahmed in there. But the point I'm trying to make here is, I think a lot of the fan base, if you had to pick a new winger, probably wouldn't go for Javi Simmons. And I probably wouldn't either. But I think when there's a loan available, then it's kind of a no-brainer. If we could do an option to buy, I think it's a really, really clever bit of business. Someone in the chat saying, what about Neto from Wolves? Yeah, Neto would be a good option. But again, we would have to see players leave in order to bring in someone like Neto, because he's going to cost you probably 50 million, isn't he? But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what people think. Say we did sell Ahmad, sorry, not Ahmad. Say we sold Sancho, Pelistri, and Anthony. Who would you want to play on that right wing position? I mean, arguably, Garnacho's played there in the FA Cup final against Man City and played very well. I think realistically, right, let's just simplify this. I think we all as a fan base want Rashford to come good, right? I would much rather an in-form Marcus Rashford operating on the left wing, and then you can have Garnacho on the right wing. Like, that's the ideal situation. But in reality, do we think Manchester United can rely on Garnacho and Rashford to be our starting wingers this season? That's the question that Ineos are going to be asking themselves. And if they say no, then bringing in someone like Javi Simmons as another option for Ten Hag is a really, really sensible bit of business. That's what I'm kind of looking at here. But you can obviously let me know what you think in the comment section. We've got over 1,000 people watching the show live now, which is absolutely amazing. Please make sure to smash a like on the video if you haven't already. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for today's video. We just hit 31,500 subscribers, and we're now only 2 away from 31,600. It's absolutely crazy, guys. Big ups to all of you. If this is your first time watching, please do subscribe. It's completely free content. I'm going to drop a link in the chat to do that now. Let's try and hit 31,600 by the time I finish this stream. A couple of people in the chat are saying, what about Chiesa? Why are we not looking at him? Apparently he's available for £25 million. What does everybody think? Would you like to see Federico Chiesa at Manchester United? Me personally, I would rather Sancho. I think Sancho's better than Chiesa. And if Sancho comes good and recreates the form that he had at Borussia Dortmund before we signed him in the first place, I think Sancho could be a very, very important player for Manchester United. And I know some people aren't going to like this, but now that Sancho's here, I'm backing him, I'm getting behind him, and I want him to succeed at Manchester United. I know some people are like, get rid of him, get him out of the club. I get all of that. And my preference would have been, if a massive bid came in for Jadon Sancho, I would have hoped that Manchester United would have accepted it, and they would have. But that's not the reality, right? Him and Erik ten Hag have made plans, made friends, apparently, that, you know, they're on talking terms again. And I genuinely think we've got a real asset there. The same with Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford last year clearly wasn't right. There was clearly stuff going on off the pitch which made him play the way he was. And I think that if we get those two players happy and in form, I reckon we could honestly be very, very dangerous this season. I genuinely believe that. Because just fully focus on the fact that it's a new setup at Manchester United. You've got new people in there, new voices. You've got Dan Ashworth, you've got Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox. And then on the training pitch, you've got Ruud van Nistelrooy and Rene Haak, who are coaching these attackers. Imagine this, right? You're Jadon Sancho. You've been out at Dortmund. You've just got to the Champions League final. You come back to Manchester United, and then you've got Ruud van Nistelrooy coaching you to be a good attacker. I mean, that's going to take his game to a whole nother level. The same with Marcus Rashford. So I really, really do hope that these two players come good. They have my full backing. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't sell them. Okay, there's a big difference here, but I'm not going to be one of those people who sits in front of the camera saying it's a disgrace, get him out of my club. Like, I just don't think that's very productive. And I just think it's slightly toxic, to be honest, you know? And that's not something that we do on this channel. We're going to back our players. We are going to try and unite the fan base, not divide it. Obviously, people can have differing opinions, and I'm always up for having those conversations with people. But the fact of the matter is this. Nobody wants to pay the money for Jadon Sancho, and there's nobody trying to buy Marcus Rashford. So with that in mind, we need to get behind the players, and we need to give them another chance. But maybe you disagree. Maybe you're watching this saying, he's a disgrace, get rid of him, I hate him. Like, let me know what you think. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Someone's saying about Bakayoko. I've heard nothing about him, mate. Someone else says, what about Nico Williams? Nico Williams would be an unbelievable signing. Unbelievable. But he's going to go to Barcelona. That's all but confirmed. So, yeah, but it's a great option. Rawuski says, toxic or not, Sancho doesn't deserve to be at Manchester United. I get your point, mate. I understand what you're saying, and I understand your frustration. Like, when somebody disgraces your club, it's hard. But yeah, it is very, very hard. I get it, you know? But at the same time, nobody wants to buy Sancho. That's the fact of the matter. You know, there is nobody putting out offers on the table for Jadon Sancho. The only offer we had was a loan. That was it. A loan deal. And Manchester United clearly didn't want to do that. So with that in mind, put it this way. 2 years ago, when we signed Jadon Sancho, I imagine every single person watching this video was happy and excited and thought it was a good signing, right? Jadon Sancho, to me, feels like a new signing again. He's gone off to Dortmund. He's cleared his head. He's got to a Champions League final. You had BT Sports and TNT Sports and Sky Sports saying that it was all Erik ten Hag's fault and Jadon Sancho is world class and all the rest of it. They've all hyped him up. So in his head, he's probably back up here, right? His ego is probably back at the top. He probably believes in himself. Whereas before, he didn't believe in himself. He was on the bench every game. He fell out with Ten Hag. And I do genuinely feel like Jadon Sancho could be like a new signing this summer. And I'm excited to see what he can do. So obviously, if you disagree, that's completely fine. Like, that's no problem whatsoever. But yeah, Melcher says Juventus want Sancho. The thing is, right, I don't know how I've gone off on a rant about Sancho. The teams want Jadon Sancho. They do. But nobody wants to pay any money for him. And I honestly think that bringing Jadon Sancho back into training, he's in the squad today. Jadon Sancho is going to play today against Rangers, right? Doing that increases his value. At the moment, his value is pretty low because teams think that Manchester United want to sell him. Whereas bringing him back into training, getting him in the matchday squads, it makes the outside world think that everything's all right. And it makes the outside world know that Manchester United aren't going to be mugged over in this negotiation. If teams want Jadon Sancho, come and buy him. You have to give us money. And just to be very, very clear, I would sell Jadon Sancho, but that's not an option. That's the point that I'm trying to argue here. He is our player. We pay his wages. We paid £73 million for him. And the best thing that we can possibly do is get behind him and hope that he comes good. And in the back of your mind, we then know that if he reaches those levels, people are going to come in for him and people will want to buy him. And at that point, we can move him on. That's what I'm kind of saying. Somebody saying, I'm going to unsubscribe because of your opinions about Jadon Sancho. That is completely fine. If, like, the whole point of this channel is to share opinions. And if my opinion on Jadon Sancho upsets you so much that you don't want to continue watching, then that's completely up to you. But I would rather actually have a conversation, you know? Like, I'm reading out everyone's comments here about, you know, differing opinions. See, we've got someone else here. Yami says, I respect your opinion. I want Sancho gone so there's no more drama. But business-wise, Sancho is bad. No one wants him with high wage. Exactly. Yeah, you're completely right there, mate. You're completely right. And I agree with you. But the situation we find ourselves in, we have to move him on. We have to get behind him until we can sell. Okay, let's move on from Jadon Sancho, though. I wasn't even planning on talking about him, but I kind of got a bit sidetracked there. So let's move on to Manuel Ugarte then. I'm going to start a new poll. I'm going to do a poll on Sancho just to end this conversation because I think that's the best way to get people's opinions. Obviously, you can let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on Jadon Sancho. Like, do you want him to stay? Would you loan him out? So in relation to the last poll, 77% of people watching the show today want Javi Simmons to be signed by Manchester United. And 23% of you say no. So thank you for that. And the next question is this. Should Manchester United keep or loan Sancho? And there's going to be people in the comments saying, sell Sancho, but that's not an option at the moment. So I'm only giving you the options that are available to us. The options available to Manchester United at this moment in time is either we keep him, we give him another chance, or we loan him. Those are the two options. So people saying sell him, like, I don't know what to say. Sachin says, sorry, I have resubscribed back. Your arguments have now convinced me. Okay. On this channel, guys, it's not going to be a dictatorship, all right? It's people can come in, we can have a conversation, I'm going to read out your chats. I'm not going to belittle you. I'm not going to make out I know more than you. Like, that's not what's going to happen on here. All right. So I would actually honestly hate it if someone unsubscribed because I had a differing opinion to them. Because I'm not going to, slam your opinion if it's different to mine. I will read it. I will try and understand and let me know. But yeah, in relation to that poll, before people start saying, I'm only giving you the options to vote on what's available. And if you don't want to vote, that's fine. If you're like, I want to sell him, I don't want part in this poll, that's obviously completely fine. Michael says, get Sancho out ASAP. So, this is a good one. Ashley says, we should do a poll on whether we should loan out Ten Hag. Okay. I hope you're joking. I think you're joking. I think you are, but maybe you're wrong. Okay, let's move over to Manuel Ugarte then, because that's the big story of the day, and I think that's what most people probably clicked on this video to see. And I've got distracted for the last 20 minutes, so I do apologise, but that is the fun when you do a live show off the top of your head, and it's just, we're back and forth in the chat, and yeah, it just happens. So Fabrizio's just come out in the last hour saying that Manuel Ugarte has now officially informed PSG that he wants to join Manchester United. This is a massive development in Manchester United's pursuit of Manuel Ugarte. He's effectively handed in a transfer request. He's saying, I want to go there. I don't want to be here anymore. He's already agreed personal terms. That was confirmed yesterday. Fabrizio coming out saying that a deal has been agreed between his agent and Manchester United, a 5-year contract apparently. Wages, I'm not entirely sure about, so I'm not going to make it up off the top of my head because I think that would be irresponsible of me. But what I can tell you in relation to the wages is how much he earns at the moment. That's always a good indicator, isn't it? So at PSG currently, he earns around 120,000 euros a week, which is about, I'm going to say, 100,000 pounds a week. Yeah, it's just under 99,000 pounds a week. So I can't imagine Manchester United giving him any more than that. Why would they? PSG have got more money than us. So why would we pay bigger wages than PSG would? Like, we wouldn't. We're giving Manuel Ugarte a bit of a lifeline here. He's gone to PSG. He thought it was going to be his dream move from Sporting Lisbon, and it hasn't really worked out for him. He's not a bad player. He's just had limited opportunities because of the emergence of Zaire Emery. Zaire Emery, to me, right, is like PSG's version of Kobbie Mainoo. This time last year, how many of you thought that Kobbie Mainoo would be starting every single game for Man United? How many of you thought that he would be starting the the Euros final for England? I didn't. I literally thought that maybe he'd be a bench player at best. And that's not me being critical about Mainoo. It's just his rise has been unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And Warren Zaire-Emery is kind of the equivalent of Kobbie Mainoo over for PSG. A year ago, he was in the PSG Youth Academy. Fast forward 12 months, and he's starting every single game for PSG. He literally came from their youth academy this time last season. And he's gone from being a player that no one heard of, Zaire Emery, to a player who is literally probably valued at 60 to 80 million pounds. And unfortunately for Manuel Ugarte, he plays in the same position as him. He's obviously come through their academy. He's French. Like, it's exactly the same principle as Mainoo, isn't it? Mainoo, English, come through the Manchester Academy, born in Manchester. Whereas you flip over to Zaire Emery, come through the academy, French. So I think Manuel Ugarte has just been unfortunate, to be honest. And that doesn't mean that he's a bad player before people are like, we're buying a reject. It just simply means that it just simply means that effectively he's been unfortunate, So I'm all for the Manuel Ugarte deal. To give you a little bit more of an insight on what's going on right now, Fabrizio has come out in the last couple of minutes as well, talking about Manuel Ugarte. So let me get that story up for you quickly. Whilst I'm doing that, if everyone who is watching could smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. We're aiming for 1,000 likes on today's video. I think we're about halfway there. So if you haven't liked yet already, please go and do that. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe as well. We're on the road to 50k. We're slowly getting there. Hopefully we can get there by the end of August. That's kind of the target. So if this is your first time watching, please go and subscribe. Okay. Somebody's saying, is Wan-Bissaka gone? No, we'll talk about Wan-Bissaka in a minute, mate, but he's not gone at the moment. So there is some breaking news about Sancho as well, actually. I thought we were done with Sancho. I'll come back to that in a minute. So Fabrizio says in the last hour that Manuel Ugarte has now said yes to Manchester United, agreed on personal terms. He wants to join the club. He says negotiations are now entering the final stages between PSG and Manchester United. It will take a few days before the deal is done. So Manuel Ugarte to Manchester United, I think, is as good as done. I've seen that apparently PSG is still asking for 70 million euros. Apparently, Manchester United are going to pay closer to 50 million euros plus add-ons. I'm fine with that. It's about 42 million pounds. I think for a player of his quality, that's a fair signing. PSG paid 60 million for him last season, and I think that's where they're trying to get a bit of a profit, aren't they? They want a bit of a profit, and I think in the end, the total package will be 60 million. So PSG can tell their fans, we got the money back. Manchester United will tell our fans that we got ourselves a bargain for one of the best young CDMs in the world. So yeah, 50 million euros up front, plus around 10 million in add-ons. That's where we expect the deal to lie at. Obviously, PSG wanted 70. They're not going to get 70. That's unrealistic. So yeah, let me know. 50 million for Manuel Ugarte. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. I'll do a poll on that as well. Just to read out the results of the last poll. 55% of people watching the show today want us to keep Jadon Sancho, and the other 45% of us want to loan out Jadon Sancho. So that's fine. Keep getting your comments in about Jadon Sancho. And let's do a poll on Ugarte. So it's going to be this. It's going to be simple. Should United sign Ugarte for 50 million euros? Simple question. Anybody watching back on repeat, you can let me know in the comment section. If there's somebody else that you think Manchester United should be looking at, let me know the name. Obviously, we've been linked to Martin Zubimendi. Obviously, there's still the chance that we can get Amrabat. Maybe he's somebody that you like the look of. I don't know. I don't know about Amrabat. I like him. I think he's good, but he isn't a Manuel Ugarte. Manuel Ugarte is levels above Sofian Amrabat. And I think we'd all agree on that, right? Sofian Amrabat, to me, is kind of like an Adrien Rabiot of the CDM position. Does that make sense? Like, if it gets to the end of the window and Casemiro and Ugarte get injured, right, and we desperately need a new CDM, go and get Amrabat then. But for us to be prioritising Amrabat as like a number one signing, that would concern me. Again, I think that's something that Glazers would have done last season. They would have seen Amrabat and said, he was at the club last season, he's a cheap option, let's go and do that deal. Whereas I don't think he's actually the best option for Manchester United, really. And I guess most of you would probably agree. Like, Amrabat's 27. I think Ugarte's 24 or 23. Let me double check. I don't want to get my facts wrong. Ugarte is 23. Yeah, 4 years apart. And do you know what? Maybe it's a sign. Manuel Ugarte has the same birthday as me. 11th of April. There you go. I know that doesn't mean anything, but that was weird. I looked at his birthday to see how old he was, and it's the same birthday as mine. So there you go. It's a sign. It must be. But yeah, so I think Amrabat, backup option. Definitely a backup option. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Gaming Simp says, I would take Amrabat over Rabiot. Yeah, I probably would as well, mate, to be honest. I think we need Amrabat more than we need Rabiot. We have lots of Rabiot-style players at Manchester United, you know? Like, we don't have any CDMs other than Casemiro. I would honestly be happy if we got Amrabat as well, as a backup, and Casemiro left. Manuel Ugarte starts every week. Your midfield would be Ugarte, Mainu, and Bruno. And then your backups would be Mason Mount, Amrabat, Eriksen, etc. Like, I would be happy with that. I think that would be solid. But as I said, I think Amrabat will come much further down the window. I don't think it should be now. Just as well, just a bit of breaking news. It has been confirmed that Lenny Yoro will start today for Manchester United against Rangers. He's going to wear the number 15. He is in the matchday squad. So in about an hour and a half's time, we will get to see Lenny Yoro for the first time in a Manchester United shirt, which I'm absolutely buzzing for. Someone's saying David Ornstein has just tweeted. Let me just have a quick look. I'm probably being trolled. That's usually what happens when people say that someone's tweeted. Also, as well, I wanted to clarify something. There was a couple of journalists coming out saying that Mason Mount was going to leave. But apparently that's fake news. Fabrizio said that Mason Mount is not going anywhere this summer. Erik ten Hag has been speaking about Jadon Sancho. His first interview since the pair made friends again. So these are Erik ten Hag's direct quotes on Jadon Sancho. He says, "We spoke well. Everyone can make a mistake. We've drawn a line and moved on. This club needs good players, and one thing is certain, Jadon Sancho is a very good player. I hope it will click and contribute to our success." And you know what? I actually really, really respect Erik ten Hag for this, because some managers would be super, super stubborn about it. They've come together. They've both acknowledged that they made mistakes. They've drawn the line, and hopefully now we can see the benefits from that. Whether that's Jadon Sancho gets sold in a couple of months' time in a month's time after he's performed well in pre-season, or he helps us to achieve our goals next season. And I think Erik ten Hag deserves some praise for this. He stood his ground. He got rid of Jadon Sancho because he wouldn't apologise. Jadon's come back. They've had a proper chat. They've both accepted they made mistakes and they've moved on. And that's how adults should do things, you know? The Man United fan base aren't going to forget, though, of course. And unless Jadon comes out with some sort of interview and explains what happened, and maybe there was things going off the pitch that were affecting his life, maybe there were reasons that he was staying up all night playing FIFA and not going to training. Like, we need to hear all about this, because I think people's opinions will change if they hear from the player himself and get the truth. And that probably will happen at some point. I would not be surprised at all if Jadon Sancho does an interview with like Gary Neville on the overlap or something like that. You can already see it being kind of thought out. Obviously, Onana did one recently, didn't he? I remember Dele Alli did one. Like, quite a few of the Manchester United players have spoke to Gary Neville on the overlap. So maybe that's what will happen. But yeah, I would like that to happen. I would like to have a chance of giving Jadon Sancho our forgiveness, you know, because I know a lot of people in the chat are still very, very bitter about Jadon Sancho, and I understand it. I understand people's, you know, frustration and pain. But yeah, they've made friends. Maybe it's just because they want to sell him. Maybe they actually genuinely think he's the player that's going to take us forward. I don't know. Like, none of us know the answer to that. We can only guess. We can only predict what might happen. Okay, so we've spoke about Javi Simmons. We've spoke about Manuel Ugarte. Make sure you keep getting involved in the poll for Manuel Ugarte. Another journalist came out, by the way, in the last couple of minutes saying that Manchester United are now very close to reaching an agreement for the transfer of Manuel Ugarte. So it looks like that one will happen. We've spoke about Rabiot. Let me double check what else I had planned for today's show. Obviously, we've got the game in about an hour and a half as well, which is exciting. Yeah, just confirming that Lenny Yoro will start today, apparently. Apparently, the Ivan Toney deal is not happening as well. I wanted to talk a little bit about him. I know there was lots and lots of reports last weekend about Ivan Toney to Manchester United, and I think a lot of people were left scratching their heads. I can see someone in the chat saying, do you think we'll get Toney? Apparently, no. Apparently, Manchester United have cooled their interest in Ivan Toney. They effectively see him as a luxury option. Brentford are apparently asking for 80 million, which is ridiculous. I'm sorry. This is on the Manchester Evening News, by the way. And it says that apparently Manchester United sources have claimed that their approach of Ivan Toney is wide of the mark, which effectively means not true. We know that Manchester United like Ivan Toney. We know that he's a player they admire, but they've just signed Joshua Zirkzee. We've got Rasmus Højlund, who I think is going to have a massive season this year. It did always leave me questioning things when we were going to go and spend 50 to 80 million on Ivan Toney. It didn't make a lot of sense. I agree that we need another striker. We need 3 strikers. But I just think that someone of that amount of money and somebody who's going to want to start every single game is only going to disrupt things, you know? So yeah, for me personally, I'm not that bothered about Ivan Toney not coming to Manchester United. But you can let me know. Maybe you think he's the missing piece of the puzzle. I personally don't. Yeah. If we hadn't have got Zirkzee, maybe. But he's 28, 50 to 80 million pounds. Probably wants big wages. Like, yeah, it's a no from me. But obviously, if you disagree, let me know. Maybe you honestly think that Ivan Toney's the player to take us to the next level. Somebody keeps spamming that David Ornstein's tweeted. Oh, here we go. Breaking news. Thank you to that person. I thought someone was trolling me. So David Ornstein has just said this. He says, Everton have informed Manchester United that they have no intention of selling Jarrad Branthwaite this summer, regardless of the takeover collapsing. It says Everton would only consider the deal if their valuation is met. Man United retain interest, but only if the asking price drops. So Jarrad Branthwaite deal is effectively off. We all thought, and we were all hoping that Everton were going to accept peanuts because they're desperate, because their sales fallen through. But David Ornstein has just confirmed that Everton have communicated with Manchester United directly and told them that just because our takeover's fallen through, either you pay the 70 million or you do one. So, yeah, no Branthwaite, which effectively means that we'll go for De Ligt, you know? Like, De Ligt will be the player we sign. And I think a lot of people in this fan base would prefer us to sign De Ligt anyway. Like, when we've run polls in the past, Most of you say De Ligt, De Ligt, De Ligt. That's the player that you will want, right? We'll do a final poll on it. Why not? Let's see. So in relation to the last poll, 87% of people watching the show today would like to see Manuel Ugarte at Manchester United, and 13% of you say no. Cool. That's good. I agree. I think he'd be a good signing. And let's do a poll on De Ligt and Branthwaite quickly. Whilst I'm setting this up, if everyone who's watching could like the video, I'd really appreciate that. It doesn't cost you any money. It's completely free to like. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe as well. Obviously, if you're not enjoying the content, then you don't have to subscribe. But if you are, we'd love to have you in the community. So please go and do that right now. Everyone is welcome. And let's do this. What would you rather? Simple question, as always. Branthwaite or De Ligt? The poll is set up. Again, if you're watching back on repeat, you can let me know in the comment section. Just to summarise, Jarrad Branthwaite, you're not getting him for cheap. That's what Everton have told Manchester United. Either you pay the money or we don't sell him. And the money is £70 million plus add-ons. With that in mind, I'm going with De Ligt. 100%. 150%. For anybody who missed the show this afternoon, Erik ten Hag has been speaking about De Ligt, right? This doesn't happen. Usually, when managers are asked about players, they say, he's not my player, I can't talk about him. Every single time. The amount of times that line has been said is crazy. But Erik ten Hag, before the game against Rangers today, was asked a direct question, will Manchester United sign De Ligt? He was asked in an interview earlier on today. And he said this. This is a direct quote from Erik ten Hag. He says, it remains to be seen whether Manchester United will sign Matthijs de Ligt this season. He says, but I do know him well. He says, I wanted to sign De Ligt at the club 2 seasons ago, but he was already far along with his move to Bayern Munich. Obviously, he moved from Juventus to Bayern Munich, and United tried to sign him at that point. It says, believe it or not, Matthijs de Ligt did not come from me in the process. So what he's doing here, he's having a little jab at the media because everyone says that we're turning into Netherlands FC. Everybody says that Erik ten Hag is signing all the players and he's making bad decisions. Like that was one of the major criticisms of Erik ten Hag, right? But he's effectively coming back at the press and saying, we want to sign De Ligt, but it's not me who put that name forward. It's someone else within Manchester United. You know, is it Dan Ashworth? Is it Omar Barada? Is it Jason Wilcox? It's one of them. Erik ten Hag obviously wants to sign him as well, but it's not him really, really pushing for it. It's somebody else within the organisation. So, yeah, I think the likelihood of us signing De Ligt now is very, very high. Obviously, we need to try and sell Maguire and or Lindelof, which I think the latter, Lindelof, will be a lot easier to move on. Maguire's going to be difficult to move on, but once those 2 players have gone, I think we'll be in a really, really strong position to move for Matthijs de Ligt. He wants the club. He's agreed personal terms. We know how much Bayern Munich are asking for, 50 million euros, which I think is too much, but we've still got 6 weeks left of the window. There's plenty of time to negotiate. There's plenty of time for Manchester United to get a deal done. So if I was going to predict, I think our next 2 signings will be Manuel Ugarte next, and then I think we'll get De Ligt. Lindelof will move to Fenerbahce. That's already quite advanced. So yeah, that's probably what will happen in the coming kind of days and weeks. So yeah, we've got a lot to look forward to this transfer window, and I still think there will be some surprises. I think one of them will probably be Javi Simmons, and there probably will be some others as well. So yeah, really, really excited to see what happens in the next kind of 6 weeks of the window. Somebody says, how many Dutch players do we actually have? We've got Branthwaite. Sorry, not Branthwaite. I'm getting things confused there. We've got Malacia. We've got Zirkzee. I think that's it. 2. We've got 2 Dutch players. Somebody says, yesterday you were saying that you wanted Branthwaite and now you're saying you want De Ligt. I wanted Branthwaite when I thought we could get him for cheap. I thought that Everton would be desperate for money and that we could lowball them. And I thought with that in mind, Branthwaite would be the better option. If we could get Branthwaite for less than De Ligt, I think he's the better signing. But we can't. So the question's changed. Yesterday, it was, can we get Branthwaite for like 30 million because Everton are desperate for money? And I said that if we can, we should do that because I think for all the reasons I outlined. But today, it's been confirmed by David Ornstein that if we want to sign him, it's going to be 70, 80 million. Whereas De Ligt's asking price is 40 million pounds. It's half the price. And we can probably negotiate that down, you know? So it's difficult to say, you said this yesterday, you said this today. Like, I get it. Opinions can change. When you get more information on something, opinions can change, you know? I would rather sign De Ligt now for £42 million than Branthwaite for £70-80 million. But yesterday, if there was a genuine opportunity for us to go and put in a cheeky offer for Branthwaite and get him for cheap, I would have done that. But yeah, we should be getting the team news very, very soon, actually, for the game, hopefully. I'm going to see if there's anything else that I wanted to talk about. I think I'm starting to come to the end of the show. Let's have a look. Let me double check what I've got planned, because there was a couple of other bits that I wanted to go through. So give me 1 second, everybody. Let me just have a sip of my water as well. I've got the driest throat. Give me 1 sec, everyone. Oh. Right. I remember now. The final thing I wanted to talk about was Wan-Bissaka. There obviously was a story floating around, I think it was yesterday, saying that Wan-Bissaka was doing his medical at West Ham. Apparently that's fake. Wan-Bissaka is not doing his medical. Someone's saying you have no volume. I have no volume because I was drinking my drink. And it's quite difficult to drink your drink and speak at the same time. But thank you for letting me know anyway. I thought that was funny. I hope, yeah, I don't know whether that was a joke or whether you're being serious, but yeah, I'm not able to drink my drink and speak at the same time. But yeah, back to Wan-Bissaka. I'm just checking whether he's in the matchday squad. Oh, sorry, everyone. I'm stupidly drinking fizzy water, which obviously makes you a bit burpy. So I do apologise. I'm just trying to see if he is in the matchday squad. If anybody knows if Wan-Bissaka is in the matchday squad, please let me know. I'm not sure if he is, you know. Let me double check. I don't want to say he is if he isn't. Yeah, he is. So Wan-Bissaka's in the matchday squad, because the reason I bring this up is yesterday there was a story going round saying that he was at West Ham doing his medical, and apparently they were way jumping the gun on this. Apparently there is still a genuine interest from West Ham and Wan-Bissaka, but it's not as advanced as some people were making out. So there is still a large possibility that Wan-Bissaka will leave the club this summer, but at the moment he is going to be part of the team today. So yeah, someone says, are you going to do a watch along? I'm not entirely sure yet. Maybe. Someone says, can you show us your setup? There's not really any way I can do it without moving my camera, so not really. I'll do it at some point. Remind me at some point further down the line, and I'll do it somewhere. I'll do like a private video for you so you can see it all. Let's see what else people are saying. This is crazy, actually. So the poll we've set up, 80% of people watching this video want De Ligt and 20% want Jarrad Branthwaite. Well, it looks like you're going to get your man. It looks like De Ligt will be coming to Manchester United. So your prayers have been answered. Right, I think we've got to the end of the show here. I'm just double checking if there's anything else I had to talk about before I say goodbye. Spoke about Ugarte plenty. We spoke about Rabiot plenty. We spoke about Branthwaite. Mason Mount we spoke about. Did we speak about Mason Mount? The only bit on Mason Mount was there was a journalist called Graham Bailey putting out a story earlier on today that Mason Mount was up for sale. And this was quickly squashed by Fabrizio, who says that Manchester United are not planning to sell Mason Mount. And you know what? I actually see Mason Mount, Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho like new signings. Because all of them are coming in at rock bottom, aren't they? Realistically. No one has any expectations for Mount. No one has any expectations for Sancho. And no one has any expectations for Rashford. So I honestly am treating those three as like a brand new exciting signing. And I just hope and pray. Imagine if those three have like a world-class season. It might not happen. It probably won't. But just imagine. They have the potential to do that. All three of them have had world-class seasons in the past. And imagine if they are world-class this year. Like, I was thinking about this earlier, and I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but I honestly think that if the players we have, our best players, stay fit and are on form, I reckon we could definitely be high up the Premier League table this season. But all it takes is 1 or 2 injuries and we could be 6th or 7th, you know? And that's where the big difference is between us and Man City. Our first team, on paper, can beat Man City. We did it in the FA Cup final. But our bench is absolutely appalling. And that's where it needs to be improved. But yeah, I honestly think our first team, if it stayed fit all season, could compete for the title, genuinely. But the reality is that's never going to happen because Man United will get injuries, they have to rotate and all the rest of it. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been an amazing show. I really, really appreciate you all. We've had over, I think, 1,300 people watching, over 10,000 views as well. Amazing show. Thank you very much. Please make sure to smash a like on the video before you leave. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new. I might be doing a watch along. I haven't decided yet. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we will. You'll either see a watch along or you won't. And if not, I'll be live after the game. So have a great rest of your day, everybody. Don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe. This has been Daily Red Devil. I'll speak to you all later on today. Bye for now. Big ups to all of you.